I never thought I'd be the guy to catch his wife cheating, especially not in such a fucked up way. My name's David, by the way. Been married to Emily for about 6 years now. She's always been a bit of a bitch, sharp-tongued, manipulative, but I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We had this perfect picture of a happy marriage. 2 kids, a cozy house in the suburbs, a lot of vacations, and a lot of bullshit, honestly. But that was all a facade. We went on this family vacation last summer, the usual deal with Emily's sister, Lisa, and her husband, Mark. Our families have always done vacations together, so it's kinda like a tradition. Everyone gets along, or at least we pretend to. The trip was supposed to be relaxing, a time to unwind and forget about work and stress. But from the start, I noticed Emily acting weird, more dismissive, texting someone secretly, sneaking off during beach walks, that sort of thing. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she was just annoyed with the kids or tired. Women get moody on vacation, right? The clues started piling up. She'd come back from her walks with a strange look on her face, kind of guilty but trying to cover it up. She'd brush past me like I wasn't there, avoid eye contact, and when I'd try to talk to her, she'd get defensive or start biting back. I remember one night, I caught her texting on her phone in the dark, quickly hiding the screen when I walked in. I asked who she was messaging, and she snapped at me, saying it was just some work colleague she'd been chatting with. I bought the lie mostly because I didn't want to believe my wife could be this manipulative, but I felt something was off. Then came the beach sunrise walk. It was supposed to be a peaceful moment, a tradition we kept every morning, Emily, Lisa, Mark, and me. But that morning I decided to stay back a little while longer to grab my camera. Something told me to watch her. I noticed her slipping away quietly from the group, walking towards the rocks. I followed at a distance, trying not to make it obvious. That's when I saw her and Mark. They were holding hands, kissing, even laughing like a couple of teenagers. My stomach sank. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was right there in front of me, clear as day. I took a quick photo with my phone. I didn't want to confront her without proof. I was numb, honestly. My mind raced through all the times she lied, all the subtle signs I ignored. I felt betrayed on a level I never thought possible. How could Emily do this with her own sister's husband? It was disgusting. And the worst part was, it wasn't just a one-time thing. I knew that from the way they looked at each other, the way they touched. This was months, maybe longer. They didn't care who saw or what anyone thought. That's what hurts the most, the complete lack of respect, not just for me but for her own family. I kept my distance, kept the photo in my wallet, and tried to process what I'd seen. I knew I had to confront her. I didn't want to be one of those guys who just sweeps things under the rug, pretending everything's fine. I needed answers, but I also knew deep down this was going to change everything. I didn't expect her to admit anything easily. Emily's the kind of woman who lies her way out of anything, even when she's caught red-handed. Still, I had to try. The moment I decided I couldn't keep this to myself anymore, I started preparing. I wasn't naive enough to think I could just ask her outright and get a truthful answer. Emily has always been a bitch when cornered. She can lie through her teeth with that smug look on her face, and somehow she makes you doubt your own eyes and instincts. So I had to be smart about how I approached her. I spent the next day watching her, noticing how she acted when she thought no one was paying attention. She was more tense, more defensive. I even caught her deleting messages on her phone a couple of times, and every time I felt my blood boil a little more. That night I finally got the guts to sit her down. It was late, after the kids were asleep, and I knew I had to do it then, before she had a chance to spin some bullshit story. I didn't want to accuse her outright, not yet, but I made it clear I knew something was wrong. She looked me dead in the eyes with that cold, bitchy smirk and spat out, "What are you talking about, David? You're overreacting. Maybe you're just jealous or paranoid." That's when I pulled out the photo I took during the sunrise walk. I didn't say a word, just slid it across the table. Her face froze for a second, then her cheeks flushed with anger. She looked at the picture, then at me, eyes blazing. "That's bullshit," she snapped. "You're crazy. Someone probably set me up. You're just jealous because I look better than Lisa and Mark combined." She laughed like it was a joke, but I saw the panic in her eyes. She was lying hard, and I could tell she knew it. Her whole face was starting to crack. I pushed harder. Are you sleeping with him, Emily? Tell me the truth. I saw you and Mark. That stupid sunrise walk was a lie. I followed you. I know what I saw. I could feel my voice shaking with rage and heartbreak. She stood up, fuming, and started throwing excuses. Oh, please, David, you're crazy. You're just paranoid. Maybe I was helping him with something for work, or maybe I was just taking a walk to clear my head. You're overreacting because you're insecure. I didn't buy it. I could see right through her bullshit. Her eyes darted around, trying to find a way out, some excuse to save her ass. But I knew the truth. No matter how much she lied, the evidence was there, and I felt my world crumbling. I'd always known she was a bitch, but this was next level. The woman I married, the woman I loved, she was cheat on me with her sister's husband, and she didn't care who she hurt. I was furious, crushed, and feeling so stupid for trusting her all these years. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything, her sneaky behavior, the touchy glances, the lies. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated. I'd never imagined my life could turn into this kind of mess. And yet here I was, with the clear proof that my wife was nothing but a lying, cheating bitch who cared only about her own pleasure. I knew I'd have to decide soon what to do, but right now I just felt this gnawing emptiness, like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by this stranger who had no loyalty, no respect, and I was left staring at the wreckage of what was supposed to be forever. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was a jumble of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. I knew I had to confront her again, but I also knew I couldn't do it the way I did last night, angry, shouting, desperate for answers. I needed a plan, some kind of calm, calculated approach, even if inside I was anything but calm. Emily was already up, acting like nothing had happened. She was making coffee with that bitchy smirk still plastered on her face, as if she didn't just get caught cheating on me with her sister's husband. I sat at the kitchen table pretending to be normal, but inside I was boiling. I had decided I wasn't going to let her spin this into some kind of misunderstanding or mistake. No way, she needed to own this. I started talking slowly, pretending to be curious, asking about her day, her plans. She responded dismissively, trying to brush me off, but I kept pushing. Emily, I need to know the truth. Did you sleep with Mark? Just tell me yes or no. Her face twitched for a split second, then she threw her head back and laughed, a harsh, contemptuous laugh. You really are an idiot, David. You think I'd cheat on you, with Mark of all people. That's so fucking typical. You're paranoid, insecure, and frankly, a little stupid to believe I'd do something so obvious. I looked her in the eyes, dead serious, and said, I saw you. You and Mark. That sunrise walk got you caught. I followed you. I saw everything. Her eyes widened for a second, then she quickly recovered, putting on that bitchy tone again. You're just jealous because I look better than Lisa and Mark combined. Maybe you're losing your mind, David. Or maybe you're just too much of a coward to face the truth. That's when I pulled out the photo again, placing it on the table. Her face went pale for a second, then she snapped. That's photoshopped. Someone's messing with us. You're losing it, David. You need help. But I could see her trembling slightly, her hands clenched into fists. She was lying, trying to convince herself even, but I knew better. I told her, look, I don't care what bullshit story you feed me. I have the proof right here. And I want you to be honest, did you have sex with him? Because if you did, I swear I'll make your life a living hell. Her smile turned bitter and she spat, fine. Yes, we fucked. Big deal. It doesn't change anything. You're just a boring, insecure little man who can't satisfy his wife. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Part of me wanted to explode, but I held back. I knew this was just the beginning. I asked her, how long has this been going on? She shrugged and said, months. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. It's not my fault you're so dull in bed. That was the moment I realized this wasn't going to be some quick, clean breakup. Emily was a bitch in every sense of the word, narcissistic, manipulative, and cold. I sat there, stunned. My entire world was crashing down around me, and all I could think about was how she'd lied, cheated, and betrayed not just me but her own sister, Lisa. I had no idea what to do next, but I knew I had to get out of that house, away from her toxic, manipulative bullshit. I couldn't stay in this marriage anymore. The pain was too raw, the betrayal too deep, and the anger boiling inside me was almost uncontrollable. This was a turning point. I was done trying to pretend everything was okay. Emily had shown her true colors, and I could no longer ignore the facts. Whatever came next, I knew I'd never see her the same way again. I just hoped I could find a way to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. After that brutal morning, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed space to think, to figure out what the hell I was going to do with this mess. Emily, of course, kept up her act, acting like she was the victim, like I was overreacting. She started throwing tantrums, calling me paranoid and insecure, saying I was crazy to think she'd cheat on me with her sister's husband. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I'd seen enough, heard enough lies. No matter what she said, her actions had already told me the truth. I decided to leave the house for a bit. I didn't want to blow up in front of the kids or make a scene that would make her even more bitchy. I packed a bag, told her I needed some time to clear my head, and walked out. The moment I stepped outside, I felt this strange mixture of relief and chaos. My head was pounding and I kept replaying everything. Her sneaky behavior, the sunrise walk, that damn picture. I couldn't believe I'd been blind for so long. I drove to a nearby bar, not really wanting to drink but needing some distraction. I sat there, staring at my drink, feeling numb. My mind kept circling back to the moment I saw her and Mark. How easy it was for her to lie, to manipulate everyone around her. She's always been good at that, making everyone think she's the innocent victim when she's really the biggest liar and user. I started feeling this deep anger forming, anger at her for cheating, anger at myself for not catching it sooner, anger at her sister Lisa for being so naive and trusting her. I knew I couldn't keep quiet about this. I had to tell someone. I thought about calling Lisa, but I hesitated. I didn't want to ruin her life, not without proof, not without a plan. So I just sat there trying to process everything, trying to figure out my next move. I knew I couldn't stay married to Emily, not after what I saw, what I knew. It would be a disaster, a lie I'd carry around forever. I had to get out somehow, somehow make her pay for what she'd done. The worst part was, she still kept lying. Tried to guilt-trip me, saying I was just insecure, that I didn't understand her, that I was overreacting because I was insecure and selfish. That only made me angrier. I wasn't insecure. I was hurt, humiliated, betrayed. I'd never felt so small, so stupid in my life. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she cheat on me with her own sister's husband? Did she even care about what our marriage meant? Or was she just a selfish bitch who used people for her own pleasure? That night, I finally reached a point where I knew I had to take control. I couldn't stay in this toxic fucking relationship. I decided I was going to tell Lisa everything. She had to know her husband was a cheat, a liar, a man who would betray his own family for some quick sex. I wanted her to know the truth before she found out on her own like I did. And I knew that Emily's lies wouldn't hold up forever. The truth had a way of coming out, and I was going to be the one to make sure it did. That's when the full weight of it hit me. This was a betrayal that would never be forgiven, not by me. I was done pretending. I was done pretending she was innocent or that this was some mistake. No, this was deliberate, calculated, and she didn't care who she hurt. I didn't know how I'd recover from this, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let her destroy me without a fight. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and kind of numb despair. I didn't go back to the house right away. I needed to get a grip, to think about what I was going to do next. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that smug, bitchy smirk she always wears when she's lying, and I felt this deep, burning rage. I wanted to scream, to tear her apart for what she'd done, but I knew that wouldn't get me anywhere. Instead, I started piecing together a plan, one that I knew would hit her where it hurt most. I decided I'd confront her again, but not right away. I needed to be smart about this. I wanted her to believe that I was clueless, that I was still trying to figure things out. I started pretending I was okay, acting like I didn't already know everything. Meanwhile, I kept digging for more evidence, digging into her phone, her emails, even her social media. Every little thing she did made me more convinced that she was a lying, manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with everything. One evening she came home pretending to be all innocent, that fake smile, those fake tears. Said she was sorry, that she loved me, that she'd never do anything to hurt me. Yeah, right. I just looked at her coldly and said, "You lied to me. You cheated on me with Mark. I saw you. I have the proof." Her face darkened and she started accusing me of being paranoid, of making things up in my head. She said I was just insecure, that she never lied, and that I was overreacting because I was a jealous, insecure little man. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I pulled out the photo again, showed it to her, and said, "This is real. You and Mark sneaking around during our vacation. How long has this been going on? Months? Years?" Her eyes flickered with guilt but then quickly hardened. "So what if we did? It doesn't mean anything. People have sex, David." "It's normal," she said with a sneer. That was her usual tactic: deny, 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 even when the evidence is staring at her. I knew I had to take things further. I told her, "I'm done. I want a divorce. I don't want any of this to affect the kids, but I can't stay married to a liar and a cheater." She scoffed and said I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic, that she'd never cheat on me, but I just shook my head. I wasn't about to let her gaslight me again. I knew the truth, and I was going to make sure everyone else knew it too. That night, I started making calls. I reached out to a lawyer, started planning how to get out of this mess. I knew Emily would fight me tooth and nail, probably try to manipulate the situation, maybe even turn the kids against me. But I didn't care anymore. I'd lost respect for her a long time ago, and now I was just trying to salvage what I could to protect myself and my sanity. I wasn't going to let her destroy me or get away with her lies. I've learned one thing from all this: trust is fragile, and sometimes people you love the most can be the biggest fucking liars. I don't regret catching her, even if it's going to ruin everything. At least now I know the truth and I can start picking up the pieces. It's going to be a long road, but I refuse to stay under her toxic spell any longer. I deserve better. The divorce process was messy, as I expected. Emily fought tooth and nail, trying every manipulative tactic she knew, playing the victim, crying, accusing me of being jealous, insecure, and controlling. She even tried to turn the kids against me, saying I was the one ruining the family. But I stayed firm. I had the proof, I had the truth, and I knew I couldn't let her get away with it. Eventually, the judge saw through her bullshit and everything was finalized. I moved out, took some time to myself, and slowly started rebuilding my life. What hit me hardest was the realization of how much I'd trusted her. I kept replaying all the signs I ignored, all the times she lied and made me doubt my instincts. I felt humiliated, angry, and a little broken, but I also felt relief that I finally knew the truth and that I was finally free from her toxic manipulations. I cut all contact with her after. The divorce was final. I didn't want her dragging me down anymore. Over time, I focused on myself. Therapy helped, as did reconnecting with friends and family who supported me. It's been a brutal lesson in trust and betrayal, but it also made me realize I've become stronger. I learned the importance of listening to your gut, of never ignoring the small signs of cheating or manipulation. And I learned that some people, no matter how much you love them, just aren't worth saving if they're fundamentally rotten inside. Looking back, I regret nothing. Sure, I wish it hadn't ended this way, that I hadn't gone through all this pain. But I also know I wouldn't have discovered the truth if I had just stayed quiet, pretending everything was okay. Emily's betrayal taught me that honesty, even brutal honesty, is the only way to truly heal. It also made me realize that I deserve someone who respects me, who values honesty, and who isn't a selfish manipulator. So here I am, a different man than I was 6 months ago. I'm still healing, still trying to trust again, but I know I'll be okay. Life's thrown me a terrible punch, but I'm still standing. And I'll never forget what she did, but I refuse to carry that bitterness forever. What I've learned is simple: never ignore the red flags, trust your instincts, and don't let anyone, no matter how much you love them, tear you down without consequences. Because, in the end, you're the only one who can truly protect yourself from the bullshit.